Thank you for watching this video. For more information, knowledge and facts on Hahnemann's Organon of Medicine, make sure you subscribe to this channel and press bell icon to get instant update.
Aphorism 11. When a person falls ill, it is only the spiritual, self-acting, automatic, vital force, everywhere present in his organism, that is primarily deranged by the dynamic influence upon it of a morbific agent inimical to life. It is only the vital principle, deranged to such an abnormal state, that can furnish the organism with its disagreeable sensations, and incline it to the irregular processes which we call disease. 4. As a power invisible in itself, and only cognizable by its effects on the organism, its morbid derangement only makes itself known by the manifestation of disease in the sensations and functions of those parts of the organism exposed to the senses of the observer and physician, that is, by morbid symptoms, and in no other way can it make itself known.
First of all, I would like to highlight a mistake by Dr. William Borick during his translation in English language of German Organon of Medicine. He wrongly put the footnote words materia peccans with this aphorism. This, actually, mentioned in Aphorism 13 in the original German edition. Dr. Mahendra Singh of Kolkata has corrected this error in his compiled book and published in 2004. Well, now I proceed further to the footnote I appended to be published in 6th edition of Organon of Medicine. What is dynamic influence? Dynamic power? Our Earth, by virtue of a hidden invisible energy, carries the Moon around her in 28 days and several hours, and the Moon alternately, in definite fixed hours. Deducting certain differences which occur with the full and new Moon, raises our northern seas to flood tide and again correspondingly lowers them to ebb. Apparently this takes place not through material agencies, not through mechanical contrivances, as are used for products of human labor. And so we see numerous other events about us as results of the action of one substance on another substance without being able to recognize a sensible connection between cause and effect. Only the cultured, practiced in comparison and deduction, can form for himself a kind of suprasensual idea sufficient to keep all that is material or mechanical in his thoughts from such concepts. He calls such effects dynamic, virtual, that is, such as result from absolute, specific, pure energy and action of the one substance upon the other substance. For instance, the dynamic effect of the sick-making influences upon healthy man, as well as the dynamic energy of the medicines upon the principle of life in the restoration of health, is nothing else than infection, and so not in any way material, not in any way mechanical. Just as the energy of a magnet attracting a piece of iron or steel is not material, not mechanical. One sees that the piece of iron is attracted by one pole of the magnet, but how it is done is not seen. This invisible energy of the magnet does not require mechanical, material, auxiliary means, hook or lever, to attract the iron. The magnet draws to itself, and this acts upon the piece of iron or upon a steel needle by means of a purely immaterial, invisible, conceptual, inherent energy, that is, dynamically, and communicates to the steel needle the magnetic energy equally invisibly, that is, dynamically. The steel needle becomes itself magnetic, even at a distance when the magnet does not touch it, and magnetizes other steel needles with the same magnetic property, dynamically, with which it had been endowed previously by the magnetic rod. Just as a child with smallpox or measles communicates to a near, untouched healthy child in an invisible manner, dynamically, the smallpox or measles, that is, infects it at a distance without anything material from the infected child going or capable of going to the one to be infected. A purely specific, conceptual influence communicated to the near child smallpox or measles in the same way as the magnet communicated to the near needle the magnetic property. In a similar way, the effect of medicines upon living man is to be judged. substances which are used as medicines are medicines only, insofar as they possess each its own specific energy to alter the well-being of man through dynamic, conceptual influence, by means of the living sensory fiber, upon the conceptual controlling principle of life. The medicinal property of those material substances which we call medicines proper relates only to their energy to call out alterations in the well-being of animal life. Only upon this conceptual principle of life depends their medicinal health-altering, conceptual, dynamic influence. Just as the nearness of a magnetic pole can communicate only magnetic energy to the steel, namely, by a kind of infection, but cannot communicate other properties, for instance, more hardness or ductility, etc. And thus every special medicinal substance alters through a kind of infection that well-being of man in a peculiar manner exclusively its own and not in a manner peculiar to another medicine. As certainly as the nearness of the child ill with smallpox will communicate to a healthy child only smallpox and not measles. These medicines act upon our well-being wholly without communication of material parts of the medicinal substances, thus dynamically, as if through infection. Far more healing energy is expressed in a case in point by the smallest dose of the best dynamized medicines, in which there can be, according to calculation, only so little of material substance that its minuteness cannot be thought and conceived by the best arithmetical mind, than by large doses of the same medicine in substance. That smallest dose can therefore contain almost entirely only the pure, freely developed, conceptual medicinal energy, and bring about only dynamically such great effects as can never be reached by the crude medicinal substance itself taken in large doses. It is not in the corporeal atoms of these highly dynamized medicines, nor their physical or mathematical surfaces, with which the higher energies of the dynamized medicines are being interpreted but vainly as still sufficiently material, that the medicinal energy is found. More likely, there lies invisible in the moistened globule or in its solution, an unveiled, liberated, specific, medicinal force contained in the medicinal substance which acts dynamically by contact with the living animal fiber upon the whole organism, without communicating to it anything material however highly attenuated, and acts more strongly the more free and more immaterial the energy has become through the dynamization. I mentioned a reference to Aphorism 270 in this last paragraph. But Dr. William Borick omitted this reference during his translation in English language of German Organon of Medicine. Dr. Mahendra Singh of Kolkata has corrected this error in his compiled book, and published in 2004. Also, Dr. M.P. Arya of Pune has corrected this error in his compiled book, and published in 2008. Well, now I proceed further to the footnote. Is it then so utterly impossible for our age, celebrated for its wealth in clear thinkers, to think of dynamic energy as something non-corporeal, since we see daily phenomena which cannot be explained in any other manner? If one looks upon something nauseous and becomes inclined to vomit, did a material emetic come into his stomach which compels him to this antiperistaltic movement? Was it not solely the dynamic effect of the nauseating aspect upon his imagination? And if one raises his arm, does it occur through a material visible instrument? A lever? Is it not solely the conceptual dynamic energy of his will which raises it?
Thank you for watching this video at Organon of Medicine. I am sure you must have subscribed this channel. You can watch more related videos here now, especially created for you.